Despite the increases in capital funds, we are starting to see the slowdown of supportive housing development, and this is solely because the New York 3 initiative is coming to a close. And it's coming to a very successful close, but most of the units are spoken for at this point. I'm going to just get right into it. What are the prospects for a new city-state agreement? No pressure.
Funny you should ask that, Ted. let me preface this by saying two things. Number one, have no doubt that that Shinny is among the most effective umbrella organizations I think that I've ever had to deal with, and Ted and his folks and the coalition that was referred to before have been camping out in my office now to the point where we're going to start charging rent. This is incredibly important to us, and the difficulty of finding operating and supportive housing, supportive programming dollars is one that we work on constantly. We have put together an internal task force that my two colleagues here sit on, as well as their commissioners and other senior staff from across the enterprise of government, trying to come up with new and creative ways of funding those parts of supportive housing. Having said that, I'm particularly delighted to be here today. You know, there are good days in government, there are bad days in government. And the good days are as good as it gets, which is one of the reasons I went back into government. Louisa and I had a really rough day yesterday. We had back-to-back meetings, and so did Courtney. About 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, Louisa and I, Courtney had already come down to the city. We were getting ready to get to the train and come down here, and I was finishing up a meeting in Larry Schwartz's office, who is secretary to the governor. Several weeks ago, we, sitting here, along with our senior staff, were charged by the governor with coming up with a plan for the J.P. Morgan Chase settlement money, with the direction that, that this money should go towards a variety of housing programs. We worked long and hard on it, and a major component of that was New York 4. I told you this was a good day, but it gets better. So we submitted that to the governor, and we have all anxiously been awaiting the response. Now, this doesn't mean it's a done deal, but it's a huge step forward. This money will be spent as a result of an MOU entered into by the governor, the executive branch, as well as the two houses of the state legislature. Those discussions are about to begin. But yesterday at 5 o'clock, as we were about to leave the second floor to go to the train station to come down here, I got the approval from Larry Schwartz to tell all of you today that the governor has signed off on the plan and will fight for this plan and will fight for a New York 4. I also want to add that we've changed it a little bit. As you all know, New York 4 has always been an evolving program. It began really working with people or directed to people with mental health issues, and then we starting with New York 2, broadened the populations to be served by this program. We're going to broaden it once more. We call for not so much New York 4, but New York Urban 4. And we will now, and we still have details to work out and things we've got to figure out about how we work with other local governments. But the problems of homelessness and the need for supportive housing for special needs populations exists around the state as well. And we would now like whatever program we end up with, and I can't get into those details, they are to be negotiated. But that program will in fact be made available to localities throughout New York State. Our major urban areas, the Buffalos, Rochesters, Albanys, Syracuse. So we now take it. I'm going to say one last thing before I shut up for a while. Alicia Glenn and her team have, from the moment the de Blasio administration came into office, been an extraordinary partner in all of this. I work for the city. I am, and nobody knows better than I do the job she has to do and how difficult it is. But you read a lot, if you look at New York political history, about tensions between the city and the state and all of that. And I can't guarantee those will never occur. What I can tell you is that from the day this administration came into office, we have had open lines of communication with our sister agencies in the city. We talk every week. We talk whenever necessary. We are there for one another. It has been an exceptional relationship this first 6 months of the new administration. There are issues, to be sure. There are budget issues that we're all dealing with, but we are on the same page. We are partners, and we are moving forward together. And I can't thank Alicia and Lillian Paoli and her team, the commissioners, Steve Banks, our homeless commissioner, who I've yet to meet, but I believe is here. This has been a really, in my experience, this doesn't happen like this. And it has happened, and I think it speaks to the commitment of our principals, the governor and the mayor, to these incredibly important issues.